This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Hello from the other side.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Hello from the Other Side. This week, I'm joined by Ben from A View from the Ninian, who is a podcaster for Cardiff City. Our, I was going to say host, but it's away, isn't it? I don't know what I'm doing there. We're visiting Cardiff on Saturday. Hi, Ben. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I mean, football wise, I could be a hell of a lot better. But I'm personally, I'm great. Thank you very much. I'm all right. So Saturday, there's going to be nearly 2,900, I believe. Wednesdayites going to make the trip. Not sold out at the minute, but I think by the time Saturday comes, we will do because we have a good following. So Cardiff City, because we're quite young in the season and we've all had the pre-season and things. So just an overview of Cardiff. How have you felt that they've done in the pre-season with transfers and how they've gone about the business?
Yeah, so, I mean, interesting pre-season for us, really. Obviously, we sacked our manager at the end of last season, Sabri Lamucci, who kept us up. That meant that this season it was all kind of changed again. Got a new manager in, a guy called Errol Bullitt, who's come in from previously managed Fenerbahce, played in Turkey, played in Greece, kind of big European credentials. So that meant, obviously, new players coming in. I think it's been a good window. So last season, a good pre-season as well, I should say. Last season, we signed something like 17 players over the summer. It was kind of like a real rip everything up and start again. This season's about being kind of refining that and adding quality. So a few players going out the door at the moment. We've lost people like Shea Ojo. He's gone to Belgium on loan. We've lost a few young players on loan as well, which is obviously good for game time. We've brought in a few key players. We just signed a guy called Sioptis, who is a Greek midfielder. We signed him from Trabzonspor in Turkey. He could be a big signing for us. I think the key signing that everyone probably knows about is Aaron Ramsey, obviously, which was a big coup for us coming in the summer. I think we didn't really know whether we'd expect it to happen. We didn't know whether it would happen, but the club pulled it off, and that's obviously raised the pulses, as it were. In terms of the games we had in pre-season, we played some local teams. We played a couple of Welsh Premier League teams, TNS and Panabont. Beat them. Went out to Portugal on tour. Played Porto and Braga. Lost those games, but did okay. Put in some good performances, and it was all about the team gelling anyway. So now we're into the season. I think we're seeing a new way of playing. We're seeing a new management style with the new manager, obviously putting his style on things. And the results haven't been great. Obviously, we've drawn one, lost two, but I think we're all relatively happy with how things are going.
Yeah, we're in the same sort of position. Obviously, we lost our manager for whatever reason you want to believe. He's just put a video out that he's done Sky Sports today, Darren Moore. And if you want to believe what he says, or if you want to believe our batshit crazy owner, that's entirely up to you. Everyone, all Wednesdayites have got their own thoughts on it, and so. Cisco Munez come in, ex-Watford manager, but we can say that about quite a few managers, can't we, in the Championship? So he's come in, and exactly the same. We had to bring a fair few new signings in, and they've just not got round to the way of that he wants to play at the minute.
Yeah.
It's not been good at the minute, but it's early days for us. I mean, on the signings front. I think for me, obviously, don't know a great deal about Cardiff, but I know that you have signed or re-signed one of the greatest centre-backs that's played for us last season, Mark McGuinness. Absolutely, Wednesdayites took him well under their wings, and he was, I've got to say, he was phenomenal for us, and we were all 99.9%, and I don't speak for them, but we're gutted that he got recalled after what was supposedly a year-long loan that was what was announced, but obviously there were some conditions in there, and you were struggling last season all over the pitch. So for a centre half who's actually tearing it up in League One, it probably weren't. It was a no-brainer for yourselves, and on all accounts, he actually played really well, and he's continued it this season.
Yeah, I think a few Cardiff fans were I think there were two schools of thought when he went on loan to you guys. It was good that he's going out to get game time in a good side who are going to be challenging for promotion, which obviously what you did. And the other school of thought was, why are we letting this guy go? He was very solid for us in that first season we signed him. He was coming into his own. He's still very young. There was a lot for him to learn, but he was going to be a decent centre half and probably a really good option if he wasn't starting off the bench. And when he came back, he was probably a key player in the second half of last season. Obviously, he came back in January. I know you guys were a bit disappointed in that. We were obviously delighted, and it's not very often we recall a player who's been on loan for the season. We usually let them stay there, so it was quite a rare thing for us to do. But he really helped shore us up in the second half of last season and forged a really good relationship with Cedric Kipre, who we had on loan from West Brom, who's now gone. And he started the season in much the same way. He was really good against Leeds away. Kind of get what you expect from Mark McGuinness, which is body on the line defending, wins every header, boots the ball clear when he can, and is always there with a last ditch tackle. And I think he's starting to form a really good relationship with another new centre half we signed, a guy called Demetrius Goutas, who's a 6'5" Greek god. So him and McGuinness together, pretty big, two centre halves, both about 6'5", both pretty dominating. So he's not really been too at fault so far this season. I'm really glad we kept him because it did look like for all the will in the world he was going to be coming to you guys permanently, the way you were talking about him and the way you were hoping. So sorry for you guys, but I was really glad that we didn't let him go permanently. Yeah, and we've just signed into, I think it's a new 4-year contract.
Yeah, so he's broke our hearts again.
You never know. He might come back in a few years if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think. You could have put your finger in there and come out with all sorts of fees. What would have cost? Yeah. So I think 3 to 4 million was rumored, but there was no way we was going to pay anything like that. I think we've paid this transfer window. We've paid about 300,000 in total in fees. So that's the table we're eating from.
Yeah.
So a player like Mark McGuinness would be fantastic. But we've strengthened at centre back with other players. Ourselves, we've brought in a couple of big guys as well, which seems to be Munez's plan because the midfielder is brought in as well. So. Like I said, nearly 2,900 Wednesdayites making the 3-mile trip.
It's a long old trip.
It is a long old trip. I used to do that every week. I used to work just around the corner from the stadium for about 6 months. So I made that trip every Monday morning and every Friday afternoon. So I know it well.
Yeah.
So it's I don't end. I'm not. No, I won't. No. I'm not. I usually would make the trip, but I'm on holiday, so I'm going to have a well rested. So I'm not going to make it to Cardiff. But what can we expect as travelling Wednesdayites coming to Cardiff? I know the area a little bit, but just if anybody who hasn't been to Cardiff before who's listening to this and they're making the trip for on Saturday, what can we expect, Ben?
I mean, the area around the ground is a bit of a strange place now. I don't know if you went to Ninian Park or anyone else did. Ninian Park used to be an old school ground. There used to be pubs and bars around it. Now it's a classic new ground on a shopping centre, basically. There is one pub next door to it called the San Martin, which used to only serve beer if you bought food. I've been reliably informed this year that if you go in there, you can just buy a beer. You can just buy a beer. You don't have to order a meal. So that's a big change.
It's one of those like chain. I call them family pubs.
It's like a Marston's or a Carvery style restaurant. But apparently they do beer now. So
are they receptive to away fans, or is it a home fan only? It's been so close. It is very close to the stadium.
I couldn't tell you because I never go.
Yeah.
It's because you have to go in there and eat food. I've never been in there for any kind of any reason. So I tend to go into Canton or stay in town. In terms of away bars, I think town is people's best bet. So if they're getting the train or they're going into the town centre, that's where you're going to find most joy. I've been when Cardiff were in the Premier League. I travelled because I'm in London. I was in London at the time. Travelled down to Cardiff with a few West Ham fans, and they were quite welcoming to most bars in the city centre. If you're looking for some kind of local beer, Tiny Rebel in town is great. You've also got Canton, which is the kind of general area around the ground. There's a few pubs around there, but they're mainly home fan pubs in Canton. So, there's good atmosphere on the streets. You can get a few cans to just drink on the streets, but it's mainly home fans in Canton.
Yeah, I have to have a big shout out to Tiny Rebel.
It's delicious, isn't it?
I spent many a night in the pub, in the bar there that
Yeah.
they've got. So yeah,
I think that's generally quite receptive to away fans because it's not really a football pub, so they kind of welcome everyone in there and out. And I think that's what town's like. Really, it's not really geared to football. It's obviously mainly a rugby pub, so rugby town. So there's a lot of bars in there that you can get in and out of. But Cardiff's a friendly city. I know we Cardiff fans come with their own kind of what's the word? Reputation. Our reputation has preceded us in the past, but I feel like it's kind of damped down a little bit now. And a lot of Cardiff fans are just friendly people who are there for a drink and a good time.
Yeah, I think it's 7 minutes from the centre to the station, something
it's
like
not
that.
Far,
I used to do it a couple of times. Yeah, so I mean the ground, it's like you say, it's a one of the new type stadiums. It's not so new as in now, but it is in the new type. There's and for all you shoppers, there's an Asda, there's a Marks and Spencers, there's a casino, there's a Costco. Yeah. So there's plenty of, if you want to do a bit of shopping anyway when you go to the game. So I've just been looking, and I'm gonna give some of our listeners a bit of positive, because at the minute you are just 1 point ahead of us. We've lost all 3 games. We've had a tough opening, but I've just got, so we have only lost to Cardiff once in the last 11 meetings.
Wow.
And there's only 4 wins in that. So it's not like a 10 to 1 or anything like that. It's good. So obviously the last couple of meetings, 2021, we won 5-0 at home.
Oh God, yeah.
And then the one before that, the last away game, we won 2-0. So we are in some sort of form, but that form means nothing. This start of the season, first 4 games, it's anyone's game.
Yeah.
Are you said about that? Are you confident? Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday coming to town. We've just come up. We've had a lot of off-field changes, on-field changes as well, and we've not started the best. So, what's your feelings about? Should we just say Sheffield Wednesday coming to town, and then we'll probably say this season Sheffield Wednesday coming to town?
I mean, from what I've remembered of being a Cardiff fan, I remember coming to Sheffield Wednesday on the last day of the season, needing just a point to get into the playoffs and absolutely blowing it. I know we haven't always had the best results against you guys. So if it was just Sheffield Wednesday coming to town generally, I'd probably be like 50-50 on whether we'd win or lose. I really don't know which way to call it, because you guys always seem to give us a game. In terms of this season, I get my current sense of this Cardiff team is, like I said, we haven't started that well either. I think we've lost 2, drawn 1, so we've only got 1 extra point ahead of you guys. Obviously, we drew in the Carling Cup with Colchester as well, the Carabao Cup, sorry, with Colchester as well, but we won on penalties.
Same.
In terms of what's going on the field, we started really well against Leeds. Second half was pretty bad. We were terrible against QPR, and then we gave Leicester a good run on the weekend. So there's something there that feels like it's starting to click. My sense would be that if we're looking at the table on pure form alone, we would hope to go into Saturday's game and think we've got to try and get 3 points from this. We're starting to see the best. Ramsey come back to form. We've got a new midfielder who can come in on Saturday and hopefully anchor the midfield. We've got a couple of strikers, Callum Robinson, for example, who's just coming back into form from injury. If they can all start clicking from Saturday, then I think we should get 3 points. But we said that about QPR last week, and we ended up losing that game, and we were terrible then. So it's the Cardiff way, really. I think, like you guys, we've got a new manager in. There's a lot of stuff happening on the pitch that's new. There's a lot of new ideas that are getting across to the players. And as much as I would like to think Saturday is a game we can win, I just wouldn't hang my hat on it. I hope we can. I look at the table and think that you guys are in disarray, and I hope we can take advantage of that. But it's very much Cardiff City to not, and very much Cardiff City to for you guys to come to town and probably turn us over 2-0. So I don't know which way it's going to go. And I know you've got players who can hurt us.
Yeah, we have. If you look at our squad, we have got players. It's just at the minute they just don't seem to know each other. The first game, Southampton, I could forgive. They scored in the 86th to win it. They've just come down. They still had all their Premier League players, I think. But
and
I know
I watched that game, and they just dominated the passing.
Yeah.
So you didn't have much of the ball, and they still didn't do that much with the ball. So you were quite solid, I think, in that regard, as like holding them back.
Yeah, 22%, I think it was the possession we had,
Yeah,
which
it was
was
nuts.
they completed 900 and nearly 1,000 passes. They dominated. It was, but it wasn't the Sheffield Wednesday that we won. We'd like. It was the first game under the new manager, so forgive that. I really
Yeah,
do. It was the next game, Hull away, which is we're looking at personally, and the club, I would imagine, looking at games that you're thinking that who were down there, who are established championship teams, you like your Hull, Preston, the two we've played thing, and thinking these are the ones we want to try and get points off,
yeah.
not the Southamptons, Leicesters,
Leeds.
and Leeds. Yeah, the ones that come down. So the Hull was just an abomination. It was so wrong in every way. We just did not play at all. Scored 2 goals. Yes, one was a good finish by Smith after a ball in by Byers, but after that, yeah, it wasn't very good. And then at the weekend, we had a poor result against Preston, who I didn't think were any good themselves, to be honest.
No.
And they got us with virtually a free header from a free kick, and didn't offer anything else. So we're obviously not in the great form, like I've said. We're coming to Cardiff. I mean, I've got your guys here. You got a guy called Ike Ugbo. Is he a new signing? Yeah,
New signing, yeah.
Centre forward, scored a couple of goals already, so he's off and running.
Yeah.
Is he someone you're looking forward to watching? Is he going to be a danger man?
So I was at Leeds on the first day of the season, and we got a cab over to the ground, and in the cab on the way to the ground, they announced the team, and I looked at the team, and I was like, why is Ugbo starting? He kind of came in early in the window, but since then we'd signed another striker. We'd signed Carl and Grant. We had Callum Robinson coming back into form, and I thought Ugbo wasn't going to be a starter. I thought he'd be coming off the bench, but he started. He started those 2 games, got goals. Still don't really know what he does as a striker. He's one of those. He's not quite a target man. His goal against Leeds was very instinctive. His goal against QPR was also a bit instinctive, a bit reactive, which is great. We haven't had an instinctive goal scorer for a few seasons, but I still don't know exactly what he's bringing to the table. But that said, he's got 2 goals, right? So if he can carry on that goal scoring form, 2 goals in 3 games, if he carries that over the season, he's going to get us 20 goals, and I can't knock that. But I would look at people like Callum Robinson. We signed Josh Bowler. Josh Bowler in on loan this summer, came in from Nottingham Forest. He scored the first goal of the season against Leeds on his debut. And I can't remember the last time we had a winger like him, really. He's very direct. He's very tricky when he gets the ball, moves it quickly with his feet, looks to play passes and get people into play. And I think that's really exciting. So the way we kind of play is we'd have a striker through the middle, then 2 kind of wingers around him. So to start with the season, it was Grant on the left, Bowler on the right. Things haven't... Grant's been dropped in the last few games, but I think Bowler and Ugbo have started the majority, and I think Callum Robinson might come in and play the other one. So it's exciting that we've actually got options up front for once, because we haven't over the last few years. It's been pretty dire up front. I think last season we really struggled to score goals, and this season I'm hoping that we've got enough players who can score a few goals each to kind of get us at the table.
Yeah, I think the way that Sheffield Wednesday have set up as well, I don't think Cisco exactly knows how, but he's done one up top with the wingers as well. We've signed a couple of youngsters, and I've said it on a previous podcast that if you look at our signings, we've signed a keeper from AC Milan, we've signed 2 players from Paris Saint-Germain and one from Monaco. So you look at that on paper and think, oh my god, We've done fantastic. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, definitely. Don't Wednesdayites are already like that. They see the name Paris Saint-Germain, and he did actually spend time on the pitch with Messi, so he's going to be great.
There we
It's
go.
going to be great.
Yeah.
He came on against Preston, and he did a couple of bits and pieces, but didn't really have that much of an impact. So it'll be good to watch in the next few games, which hopefully we'll see the best of him. So we're going to be, just a little bit on us, we're going to be missing a new signing that's started against Preston, Momo Diabe. 6.5.
Something?
Pardon, sorry?
Has he fractured something? Did I read that right?
It looks like it, yeah. So he started and he looks to be a good signing from the 65 minutes. He lasted 65 minutes, came off with an injury. a guy that picked the ball up and those first 20 yards is a bit of pace and he carries the ball, a ball carrying, and he looks he's a big, strong guy, put himself about a bit. So he came off 65 minutes and it looks like it's a fracture. So a few weeks, but Sheffield Wednesday are known to not have players back after a few weeks. It may be a few months. So if unfortunately, and I think in that sort of thing, we are a bit light in the centre of midfield. So we've got obviously we've got Bannon, who has been a bit quiet in the first 3 games. I don't know. He came off injured against Hull, and I don't know if he's carrying something. Or if it's just the way that the manager is set up and wants us to play. That's not helping Bannon at the minute. But he's a class player. I'm sure he'll be able to play. Is that on the Sheffield Wednesday side? Looking at that, I've just obviously explained a couple of players there. Is there anyone that stands out for you that you're thinking? I know it's early in the season, and you probably obviously don't know any of the new signings. But is there anyone that jumps out at you?
I mean, there's a couple of players that will jump out for me. From one, because they used to play for Cardiff City, and two, because we were always linked with them. So I think going back years, we've always been linked with Josh Windass, and I think he's one of those players. I think Josh Windass, he can be very frustrating, but there are times when he gets the ball and he does stuff with it, and you think, God, you could be a lovely footballer if you were consistent enough, if you put the same performance in every game. And I think I always like him, and I think he scored against us in recent years. He always seems to have a decent game against us, and I've always kind of thought he's exactly the kind of player who would do well at Cardiff, in the sense that he would come in, the fans would love him, but he'd be very mercurial, and he would turn up probably 1 every 3 games and do something lovely. We like that sort of football at Cardiff, and we seem to have had a few of them over the years. And then the other player I love is Callum Patterson. I know he signed him from us, but I can't love the guy any more than I already do, to be honest with you. I was gutted when he left, even though it was probably the right move for him, and he wanted more game time. But when we signed him, he came in as a right back. Neil Warnock said, "You're not a right back." Played him as a 10. He scored 9 goals as we got promoted to the Premier League. Then he played as a striker in the Premier League and scored really important goals for us in the Premier League. And then he suffered a bit in that second the season after we got relegated, basically, because I think we changed managers. People didn't know where to play him and all that kind of stuff. But I just think wherever you play him, he gives you 100%. Wherever you play him, he does something. I think it was his goal in the when you guys, was it Peterborough? He scored in either in extra time or to go into extra time. That finish in the box, it was so deft. And I was like, that's what you get with Callum Patterson. This absolute rugged nutter who can then do something like that in the box. Like the composure he has for you. And I just think it'd be nice to see him again, because obviously we haven't seen him since he left. And I think I think is he playing right back for you at the moment, or is it kind of wing back?
He is, yeah. He has come on at right back, wing back, and then he has and I think exactly that. I think he comes across as the type of guy that one of those. Do you want to play in goal? Yeah.
You give it a go.
Front? Yeah. Do you want to play left wing? Yeah. I think it just do that. And he has been. I think he has been Marmite in the past with Wednesday fans, but I think
he was with us to an extent.
Yeah, I think it's more positive now against Callum Patterson. Yeah. His contract was out in summer, and he did extend it, which was some people thought that going up to the Championship, he wasn't a Championship player. We didn't know where we were going to play him. If you played him up front, he didn't contribute enough goals. But for me, he's a utility player, and is not really done a lot wrong in my eyes, to be honest. So
I had the same feelings about him at Cardiff, and there were people who slated him and there were people who rated him. And for me, it was always just, I think when you get a player like him in who just does, like I said, in the Premier League, he was our top scorer with, I think, 4 or 5 goals. And that was being asked to play as a striker in the Premier League. And it's like, how can you go from right back to playing striker in the Premier League and still do okay and still do a passable job in the Premier League up front? So I won't hear a bad word said against him. So if there's any Wednesdayites out there who are hating on him, they can come speak to me.
Yeah, he's recently in the last few weeks done his YouTube channel, which is going down a treat with Wednesday fans. So if you're into fishing, anyone, go and check out Callum Patterson's YouTube channel. Yeah, it's a good laugh. Oh yeah. I found myself the other night, Friday night. What am I doing? I'm watching a 27-year-old's fishing channel, football fishing channel, about 15 minutes of just pure I'm not even into fishing. It was because it was passing.
No, right.
And it was great. So anyone out there listening, all Wednesdayites know about
I
it anyway.
liked it when you got promoted. I liked he got his MD 2020 out. He did that with when we got promoted with us, and it's like one of my favorite. I had my stag do recently, and someone bought me a bottle of MD 2020, and I did a recreation of that photo. And he Callum Patterson liked the tweet, so the guy's a hero in my eyes. So I'm jealous that you have him, and he's not come back to us yet.
Well, I hope he comes and spoils your day on Saturday. I'm not being horrible, Ben, but I do. I hope he does.
I'd be happy if he spoils it. I'm all right with it. Yeah, I'm all right with it. I'll applaud him. Well done, Cal. Enjoy it, mate.
Yeah, I'll sacrifice the 3 points for just
just for a little bit of joy.
A little bit of joy. Yeah, great. It's going to be like I say, you're on 1 point. We're on 0 points. I don't like that it's a must-win game because we're only 3 games in, but it does feel like for both teams that we need, with new managers, they need something, because I don't know what your owners are like. Obviously, I don't know them, but ours is batshit crazy. And if things don't improve, unfortunately, I'm sure he would pull the trigger, which is not going to help us at all.
Yeah, I think we historically our owners are batshit crazy. We had 4 managers last season, right? We gave Steve Morrison the summer where he signed 17 players and got rid of him after less than 10 games. Then we hired Mark Hudson because he was the next cheapest option, got rid of him by January. Then Dean Whitehead took it for a couple of games and looked scared. And then we hired a manager that our owner didn't like. So, I mean, if last season's anything to go by, we could end up with the manager sacked now. But I think for us, and again, not speaking for you guys, it feels like they're trying to give the new manager a bit more patience. And I think there's a few people on Twitter, a few Cardiff fans on Twitter suggesting that Saturday is a must-win game. And I want it to be a win. I think we do need a win, but I don't think it's must-win in terms of the manager's safety, because I think we're building a longer-term project, which is unheard of at Cardiff. But we've got a manager in who's got this different experience. He's got the draw, some of the players he signed, we wouldn't have been able to sign 2 years ago, last season, all that kind of stuff. So I think they're buying into the manager's project, and I think that they'll let it play out this season at least. Because I don't think we're going to get relegated, but I'd like to see us get a win on Saturday just to settle the nerves.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I could echo exactly what you're saying there. On the field, should I say? Last season, obviously, we had Darren Moore, which was a stable manager. Obviously, doing the business, so you're not. I know last season you were struggling, so that's why I get the merry-go-round of managers. And it does seem that the play on Saturday against Preston, you had to look hard, real green shoots, real. There wasn't anything you think, my God, I can't believe Preston just look a win and we played really well. There was bits and things you could think of that, right, the manager's getting across what he wants.
Yeah.
But we do need a win, really do. And just to get fans just a bit more positive. Because you go on Twitter, you go on your social media, you go wherever you want, and you don't like to see your hashtag being talked about as negative, and 3 games in, and people are like, well, the manager doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not. Well, the team, we have brought in 10 players. I imagine we may bring in a couple more by the end. So at the end of August, beginning of September, it may look a different side. We may bring in a young striker from the Championship on loan, and probably another centre midfielder for me. So it may even change. So hopefully we do pick up some points and we don't get to September and we cut adrift. So I imagine it's the same as for you guys as well.
Completely. We got a week left of the window. There's conversations around who we're going to bring in. There's talk of 1 or 2 players at least coming in. There's talk of a couple more players leaving. I think we're similar. Probably need another midfielder, another centre half, maybe a striker if the right one comes up. There's a few rumours that we might be signing Kiefer Moore on loan from Bournemouth, but that's completely hinging on what Bournemouth do in the window and if they sell their strikers. So there's a lot of ifs and what ifs that are still to play out. But I think it's the same. Like I said, we've got a new manager, we've got a new project, we've got a new way of doing things. We're not the same club as we were last year, and we've got 7 or 8 new players. And some of the players we signed, this guy, like I mentioned at the top, Siopis, who's this Greek international we've got in midfield. he bought out his contract in Trabzonspor, which, they won the Turkish league a season ago, to come to play for us because he loves the manager so much. And he's a Greek international, a proper terrier midfield. He's had half an hour on Saturday against Leicester, and he was running after the ball then. Like a week of training under his belt, a week of getting to know the players around him and building that relationship. We'll just see him improve. And if he starts on Saturday, then I imagine he'll make a difference to the way we play. So like I said, there's cause for optimism. And I think most fans are calm with the way things are going. We can see what we're trying to do. Against QPR, we lost, but we made over 500 accurate passes. We were terrible, but made over 500 accurate passes. Our average 2 seasons ago was like 130 in a game. So you can see what changes they're trying to implement. They're trying to move us into that possession-based football. So as long as we move in the right direction over time, a few losses now are kind of short-term pain for that long-term gain. So I'm still hopeful. I'm not going to lose faith. I'm not going to lose patience with the manager yet. And I just think we're in 2 months' time, the picture is going to be completely different to what it is now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're the same. I really are. There's very a lot of similarities between our two squads and teams at the minute. For me, I've got to say that I really do believe that. I've got to make comment because I asked you about our players. I'm going to make comment on Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah.
I feel we had the same last season. Barry Bannon in League One was talked about. It was cheat code. He shouldn't be in this league. I'm going to say the same for Aaron Ramsey. I really am. A real coup for Cardiff. I believe it is a Cardiff lad. Is his hometown team? Is it?
Yeah. So he came through our academy at 16. He was there. He had one season with us, 2007, 2008. Everyone knew that he wasn't long for Cardiff because he was that good. Sold him to Arsenal. And obviously has had his career since then. It's his third spell at Cardiff. He came back on loan shortly after when he broke his leg and he was doing his rehab. He went to Nottingham Forest and then came back to us for a month. But yeah, he's back for good. As I think you're right in saying he's a cheat code, or he could be a cheat code for this league. We're still getting, I think he's still getting used to being back in the Championship, and he scored an amazing goal against Leicester on Saturday. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure most people have because it was replayed everywhere, but an absolute banger from about 35 yards across the goal. I mean, that's the kind of thing he's got in his locker, right? And I think the more comfortable he gets with the players around him and the way we're playing, the more we're going to see of that. This summer was insane. We hired a new manager. We had the chairman saying, we've got an announcement up our sleeve that could put 4,000 or 5,000 season ticket sales and things. And then that's when the Ramsey rumour started. And we got bitten last season with Bale. Bale was going to come in, but then he went to LA. Ramsey, apparently, for all the talk that there was in the press, he made it happen behind the scenes. He was the one who instigated the conversation. He was the one who wanted to come home because he spent time in Scotland, France, Italy, but he's always been away from his family, and he wanted to come back and do the family time and see out his career while he was still able to at Cardiff, I think. So it was just, when it was announced, I mean, I know Cardiff fans who cried over it and all that kind of stuff because it like I said, he's a Cardiff boy. We only had him for a season. So for him to come back and give us a couple of years is fantastic.
I was going to say, because he's only 32.
Over the hill now, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, bloody hell.
I got no hope, mate. I got no hope.
Me too. If that's over the hill, I'm proper in the ground. 32. So, like you say, you've got a couple of years of him. I think probably
2 years with a 1 year option. So we have him till about 35, I think.
Yeah, that's for me. I hope he has a stinker of a game, but I do. Obviously, I do. Of course, I do. But I do admire good players. I do, and it's hard not to when they're playing against your team that you do tip your hat and say, actually, that is a cracking signing. And there has been Championship clubs this season that have made some real good signings, and you're thinking, why couldn't my club do that? Why couldn't? But hopefully we have. We've
still time.
The 10 we've bought, there may be a diamond in there that's just waiting to be polished, and hopefully Muniz can get the best out of these players. It's going to be. I'm going to. This is this part of the pod that we all love and hate. This is the prediction time. Good. So let me set the scene for you, Ben.
Go on.
2,900 Wednesdayites. We're going to come down. We're going to shop at Asda. We're going to have a few beers of Tiny Rebel.
Go to the casino.
Go to the casino, I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of it. There's a jam donut beer they do. I can't remember.
Pump up the jam.
That's the one. That is That is Wednesdayites. Anyone listening, try and find that in your supermarket. It's lovely. I like that. So it's 3 o'clock. We're lining up.
Yep.
The teams have been announced, so we're there. What you thinking, Ben? Come on, give me a quick outline of how you hope it's going to turn out, or how it's going to play out, should I say?
I think if it plays out like I want it to, we score an early goal. If the Wednesdayites have been on the Tiny Rebel, they might be feeling in high spirits, but hopefully an early goal, 15 minutes in, kind of, quells those a little bit, shuts you up, as it were. Hopefully we get a goal early on and then take control of the game. I think I want to see us control the game. I want to see us have the ball for long periods of possession. I want us to see it, move it around, progressive football. I don't know if this will happen. This might be my dream. You set the scene nicely, and I'm thinking about it. But I think if we get an early goal and another goal before half time, effectively kills the game. Come out in the second half, and I think then we get you guys start to attack us, play a bit more kind of attacking football, and there's lots of gaps behind you, and we can finish it off 3-0. Send you Wednesdayites home on your coaches, your trains, your cars, kind of licking your wounds, as it were. Sorry to say.
Hey, mate, that's that. You've made. I mean, you're totally wrong, but you played.
So how do you see it playing out? How do you see it playing out?
I'm going to say that we're going to start slow. We've been hit in the first 2 games of not having much possession. So I want us to be seen to be keeping the ball. I'm not imagining us trying to break you down straight away. We want to keep the ball. We have been very slow in the transition from the back, midfield, and then up front. It's just we've played one up front, and it doesn't quite work. Gregory, I love Gregory, I do, and he's got great hold-up play. And he had a chance on Saturday where he was through and he hit it straight at the keeper. But he can't do everything. He needs help for me. So I'm going to think it's going to be a real slow start for us. Maybe it's going to be 0-0 at half time. We'll make a few changes. Some of the new guys will come on, a bit of pace, because we've been lacking in pace for a few years. And these guys, with these youngsters, babies to me, but youngsters that we've got, I think we're going to play the ball behind you, and I think we'll get a bit of pace. I think it's going to be 2-0 Wednesday. I really do. I know it's not. Obviously it's only 3 games. We're not prolific goal scorers at the minute, and we've got to score somewhere.
Are we? Yeah, that's what we're hoping as well.
Well, exactly. That may be it. That what have you've scored 4 this season? We're on 3, so. Not dissimilar. It
feels like 2-1 or 3-2 might be the score then.
To Wednesday, we'll say that.
I'll say to God if you say to Wednesday, that's the fair.
Wanderers, or it's going to be a 3-3 draw. None of us is right, and
I mean, I'll still take that.
I was going to say that. I said that jokingly, but a point on the board. I'm saying 2-0 Wednesday, but if it comes at 10-5, or actually how this season's going, it'll be 5:15 bit time final.
With the time.
Anyone knows what time it is, but I think a point for me, and anyone listening may totally disagree, but I think a point will be fantastic. But I assume you're going, Ben? You're going to be there?
Yeah. I'm going to be there in the back of the Canton stand. I've got a new seat. I've got a new season ticket this year and a new seat, not too far from one of the other podcast hosts actually. So my first home game. So I missed the first home game of the season due to prior stuff. But I went to Leeds away. I've got my ticket to Ipswich following week as well. So I just got the bug again. I think last season was so depressing as a Cardiff fan that when you have such a positive summer, it just puts a spring in your step, and you realise how good it is being a football fan again. And then you properly get back into supporting your club. I don't know if you've had the same with your madcap owners, but it can be a slog sometimes when you've got mad owners, shit football, and then you just get something like this where Ramsey signs and you get a new manager and you think it's all worth it again. It's all worth it again.
We had the best summer, obviously for obvious reasons. We had the game that if you didn't go to against Peterborough at home, you need shooting because
I watched that on TV. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It will be talked about for years. I've watched the highlights, and it is the best game live I've been to. I really have to say that.
I can't imagine.
Then we had Wembley, and sorry, I know everyone's heard these because we say it every week on the podcast nearly, but went to Wembley, cracking result. And then the summer, it was like, right, we do need a lot of players. Darren Moore, he may get a bit of money to spend, you know. And then one Monday night, 6 p.m, it was like my phone went mental, and it was like, what the hell's here? And it's like, oh, Sheffield Wednesday, Darren Moore parted company, and that's it. All the good feeling, all the goodwill, and
just like
everything,
drained.
Momentum, it had just been kicked right out of us. So we are starting anew. So it's going to be a thing, but we'll start on Saturday with the 3 points, if you don't mind, Ben, if that's all right.
I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
No,
I do think it's going to be a cracking game, though. I just feel like, you know, two teams who are, like you say, battling it out towards the bottom in a similar kind of space, in a similar vein of form, and hopefully it will just be a good game, which Cardiff do win 2 or 3-0.
Ben, thank you very much for joining us on Hello from
Thanks
the
for
Other
having me.
Side. No, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much, and obviously, good luck with the podcast and everything for the season. I will bid you farewell, and thank you for everyone listening. All the usual subscribes, all that on the channel, if you don't mind. And I will see you real soon. Cheers, Ben. Thank you ever so much.
Cheers. Thank you.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.